Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at gcnlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Here we go. Your dial's set correctly to USAPrepares.com. We're delighted you're here, and we're broadcasting 2 hours from high atop the Missouri Ozark Mountains. For those of you new to the class, there are about 200 of us here at USAPrepares.com. Experts in various areas. We're innovators, we're dentists, we're medical doctors, engineers, surgeons, CEOs, broadcasters, researchers, authors, physicists, farmers, and inventors. And we're students rising to become instructors. I'm delighted to introduce to you your newest USAPrepares.com instructor, Andrew Hemmer is with us, and he is a customer service manager at earthworkshealth.com. He's a third-generation farmer in Nebraska. And today we're going to be talking this hour about gardening, organic gardening, gardening to feed your family. And for those of you who have been paying attention to the news, you know that there's an epidemic that is causing chickens to be killed by the millions. You know, we might not have birds for Christmas and Thanksgiving. It's a serious, serious problem. So this is just one more exclamation point as to why you need to grow your own food. Welcome, Andrew Hemmer.
Hello, Vincent. Hello, everyone.
Andrew, I'm so glad you're with us. Now, you live in Nebraska, and you've been farming for all your life. Isn't that right?
That's correct. Yeah, I grew up on a farm. My grandfather and father and my father's brother took care of the farm, and ever since I could walk, I remember helping them with feed and riding in the tractor with my father. It's been quite the journey.
Yeah, it is the American dream. It's the one that I'm living right now. I live on a farm and I raise Black Angus cows, and you know, we have some cow manure that some people might think, oh man, what a problem that is. No, it's not a problem at all. It's putting fertility back in the soil. And
that's right. And
you know,
when you feed your cows the right stuff, you know, that's fecal matter that you put back into the soil. That's a good thing. But when you have farmers that feed their cattle Monsanto product, distilled grains, things like that, well, that winds up in the ground when you put it in the ground and in our crops when we grow organic crops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we don't feed our cows any of that.
That's good.
What we do is we feed our cows grass. Andrew, one of the things that I do, I call it tractor therapy. I have this antique Ford 3000 diesel tractor. It's about 47 horsepower. I get out on that tractor and I pull a chain harrow, and I pull the chain harrow through the fields where the cows have just spent some time, and I spread the cow manure around so it's in smaller clumps rather than these great big piles, and the sun gets to disinfect it and it becomes fertilizer faster.
That's right.
And instead of having these spots of dark green grass where the cow manure is, I have a field that's more uniform. And it's safer for the cows, less chance of the cows getting parasites when the manure is spread out and disinfected by the sun. So I guess the point of what I'm trying to say is cow manure, if it's from grass and not from genetically modified organisms and not from feed that has antibiotics in it, it's a great fertilizer. And that's what we use here. That's what we use here at the farm. So let's talk about planting a garden and organic gardening. And why don't we start with this? I mentioned to our class that about a week ago, we took topsoil and filled it into our raised bed garden. What I took is some concrete blocks, and these are the commercial concrete blocks. They're 12 inches deep and 2 rows high. And we filled it, let's say it's 4 feet wide by roughly 40 feet long. It's in a regular shape, but let's use that for an example. That's one garden that we've made. Mm-hmm. Filled it with topsoil, put some lime in there, put some peat moss in there, and rototilled it in, pulled out all the rocks, so it's a nice, fluffy, dark brown soil. I'd love to have some more humus. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to have some more humus or some cow manure in there. And so that's the garden. The pH is 7.0. Now, so we had some tomatoes that we started from seeds. We have some peppers that were started from seeds. They're in there now. And in about 14 days, we are going to, when there's a new moon, we're going to plant. How are we on the right track, or do you have some suggestions to make this garden better?
No, I'm waiting for the new moon also to, get a lot more of the other crops planted. You're doing the right thing, Vincent.
Okay, let's talk about the new moon. Can we do that? And then we'll talk about, then later on in this broadcast hour, we'll talk about what do we do about the pests. So how important is planting by the moon?
Well, if you have done a little research about new moons, even homeopathic doctors, medical doctors have recognized it also. When you take herbal supplements in your own body and you do this around a new moon or a full moon, it seems to absorb better and work better. And the same thing is with plants. The way my grandma explained it to me is you plant on a full moon or a new moon so that the seeds have a better chance to grow, is what I've been taught. And further research shows when the seedlings actually, pop out of the ground and those full moons and new moons come, the absorption rate of their root systems, it does increase. So the idea of planting around a full moon and a new moon, that's the best time to plant.
Okay. Now, is there something that, is there a relationship between the orientation of a garden, meaning north-south or east-west or some other orientation that works better because of the magnetic influences of the earth? Or is the most important thing the sun versus less sun?
Well, sun versus less sun is important, but, magnetic fields and everything, that plays a part too. Plants are going to absorb bioavailable metals. There is aluminum in plants. You need not to be afraid of it. It does help with the cell membrane structure and things like that, but with magnetic fields, it does help with, plant growth, and you can notice that during full moons and new moons. But yeah, sun, having the right placement of plants to where the sun is, if they're getting partial sun, if they're getting full sun, that's all important.
Andrew, let's build a garden right now. How do we start? And let's assume that our class lives in the suburbs. A lot of us live in the suburbs. And some of us live on farms, but a lot of us live in the suburbs, and some will live in the city. Maybe for the city folk that haven't gotten out yet and they're thinking about getting out, maybe they just need a couple more months, and let's help them with a bucket garden. Okay, but let's start with the suburbs. Okay.
Well, in the suburbs, chances are that you're not going to find a lot of grass or a lot of land to till, things like that. So the idea is to make yourself a box garden, or if you can put them in buckets, that's just fine. The idea of living in the suburbs and growing produce, you need the access to a growing media. So it's not like you can go out of town and dig some ground up and use that. You're probably going to have to find a nice organic source of medium. And when you can find that, that's the first step. But making a bucket garden, if you have partial sun or full sun in your backyard, or if you have access to a roof, that's a great place to start. But the idea is to know what you're going to plant and get the supplies that you need. That is the growing media itself, the tools that you need to transplant and things like that, and your containers that you're going to be putting plants in. So that's the first step.
When you talk about growing medium, are you talking about just buying potting soil? Or are you talking about buying topsoil? Or you?
Well, that's what I mean by growing media, is whether you're going to be buying an organic potting soil or if you're going to be getting some topsoil from somebody that can provide it to you. There are good potting soils out there. Miracle-Gro, that's something that people need to stay away from. Even the organic Miracle-Gro, it is processed. There is chemicals in it. You need to stay away from it. You don't want to eat it. If you can find a USDA organic, a OMRI certified organic soil that from a company that is trustworthy and has been around for a while. Ideally, though, you would want some fertile topsoil, and there are individuals online that do provide that. You can also look locally around your city to see if somebody can provide something like that, but it is available.
And you said Miracle-Gro is something that we should stay away from their soil?
Everybody should stay away from Miracle-Gro. I definitely do not trust the company.
Andrew, there goes another sponsor.
So I tell you, if Miracle-Gro,
Andrew, Andrew, this is your first broadcast, and you already threw a sponsor overboard.
I apologize.
Well, no, actually, we're just going to have to promote you. Okay, so Andrew, I was going to go to Craigslist. We're going into a break. I'm going to go to Craigslist and see if I can find some potting soil, just here locally for those in Springfield. So is that what you're saying? Just go to Craigslist or a farm supply or something like that, and ask around for
Facebook is also another really good tool going on in marketplaces and people that sell things on Facebook. I know here in Nebraska we have a county exchange, and people sell and buy things all day. I've been seeing garden supplies and topsoil and potting soil for sale the last few weeks.
Yeah, there it is. I just went to Craigslist, Springfield, Missouri. Topsoil looks like a dump truck load, $165. Topsoil, plenty of topsoil for sale in the Springfield market. So, I'm sure it's, and here's some topsoil, $20. So that's for, you got to load it though for $20. But brought to you, it's a little bit more. We'll be right back. By now you know that USAPrepares.com is your source for water filtration systems. Here at the farm, we use our water filtration system for drinking, cooking, and for our cats and dogs. Which brand are we using? Well, that would be the ProPure system, because it filters out pathogens, microbes, chlorine, and fluoride. Multiple sources indicate that fluoride is responsible for lowering our IQs by 5%. Now, how many of you would like to sign up for a lower IQ? USAPrepares.com offers ProPure water filtration systems and accessories at the same price as everyone else, except we offer an instant rebate. We buy them by the pallet loads and pass the savings on to you. And if you're outside of Missouri, there's no sales tax. And if this appeals to you, visit USAPrepares.com. That's USAPrepares.com. You can order online, and we have the ProPure water filtration systems in stock, ready to ship. USAPrepares.com. ProPure water filtration systems at the same price as everyone else, except we offer an instant rebate.
Hi, John Hubner from Midas Resources. Are you tired of watching your hard-earned assets dwindle away? As government spending is out of hand and the Federal Reserve is creating in excess of $20 billion a week, are you tired of stockbrokers gambling away your hard-earned money? Is this market a setup for a crash greater than 1987? Too many of today's policies resemble those that led to the collapse of 1929. This is John Hubner, and that was me in 2007. And we all know what happened when the subprime credit bubble burst. By March 2009, the dollar lost 50% of its value. The entire U.S. banking system was on the verge of collapsing. Like all financial problems of the past, is history about to repeat itself? Call me, John Hubner, at 1-800-686-2237, extension 129, before it's too late to protect yourself. Will the oncoming catastrophe take all private IRAs, 401ks with it? There is a way to protect your hard-earned assets. Call me, John Hubner, at 1-800-686-2237, extension 129.
I have bought a few bottles of Heart and Body Extract and have to say that it certainly does work.
That's what Jack from Michigan had to say after his experience with heart pain and what he did to treat it with Heart and Body Extract.
I actually had a huge heart flutter. I was also having some edema around my ankles and very worrisome clot in my right leg that would happen from time to time. I was trying to sleep.
Heart and Body Extract is all natural with no negative side effects. It will help repair or correct past problems associated with the heart and body circulation.
After my second bottle of Heart and Body Extract, all problems are now gone.
Order at hbextract.com or call 866-295-5305.
I ordered a third bottle of Heart and Body Extract for maintenance as I want to keep everything working.
Order Heart and Body Extract at 866-295-5305 or hbextract.com. Heart and Body Extract for a long and healthy life.
We live in a complicated society. Stressful issues are always popping up. Have you ever been treated unfairly by someone? Have you ever been overcharged for a repair? Have you ever signed a contract or a document? Worried about identity theft? How many times have you been in those unique situations where you just wanted to call an attorney to find out if you're right or wrong, or what your legal rights are? But every time you think about calling an attorney, what do you think about first? That's right. Who do you call, and how much will it cost? Our friends at Legal Shield have found a solution. With a nationwide network of 6,900 attorneys who average over 19 years of experience, Legal Shield's law firms take over 40,000 calls per week helping their members. For less than $20 per month, you can have access to Legal Shield on everything from the trivial to the traumatic. Let Legal Shield stand up for your rights at lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com. Or call 855-340-SAVE, 855-340-7283.
Results will vary from case to case.
Class, Andrew Hemmer's with us, earthworkshealth.com, earthworkshealth.com. And earthworkshealth.com is the company that is the supplier of diatomaceous earth that we use here at the farm, and the same supplier of the diatomaceous earth that Dr. Shealy is doing his study on starting Monday at the meetup. So if you're interested in being part of the study, we have at least 10 right now who will be at the meetup at Jimmy's Egg. Dr. Shealy will be there. He'll be talking about diatomaceous earth and the study for what it can do for you, like lowering cholesterol, lowering blood sugar, improving skin, and so forth. I mean, it's going to be a fabulous study, and we'll report more on it as the study continues. So if you're interested in being part of the study, it's absolutely free. We're providing the diatomaceous earth. Dr. Shealy is overseeing this and engineering the study. He has the protocol all written. I have a copy of it. So if you're interested, very simple, no cost to you. You just have to do it. We'll see you on Monday at Jimmy's Egg, 4:45 to 8 p.m. Dr. Shealy will be with us. Andrew Hemmer's with us, and we're talking about the soil. And Andrew, I just went to Craigslist, $165 for 5 cubic yards of topsoil delivered. So it's available, and that's in Springfield, Missouri. So there's plenty of places where you'll be able to get topsoil. So now we've got our soil. What do we do next, Andrew?
Well, next, you should definitely find some sustainable and quality seeds. People, going to Walmart, going to other retail locations to get seeds, that's fine, just as long as you're getting organic. You also want to look into the company, learn their practices, learn about the company first before you, jump into some seeds that you don't know about. I do try to find the most sustainable seeds. SustainableSeedsCompany.com is a great way to find some quality seeds that do last. They are vacuum packed for protection of the seeds, and I've been growing those type of seeds for about 3-4 years now. So the next step is getting the seeds and what you want to plant. When you buy the seeds, they will mention, how you plant it, how far down, as in the depth, how much you need to space out the plant. So growing in buckets, you really don't have to worry about too much space. You can plant the plants in a bucket, and there it's going to grow. So whether you have one bucket separated 20 feet from another, that's fine. With let's say a raised bed or a box garden, you're limited in space. So growing, let's see, some viney plants like cucumber, watermelon, that's going to take up a small garden. It really will. So the idea of finding plants that are space-saving, that are nutritious, that are superfoods, beets, kale, spinach, green leafies like that, and other space-saving plants that you can find are ideal for smaller gardens. So seeds, finding out how much space that they're going to take up is the next step, and then finding a good planting plant. You definitely want to make sure that when you plant the seeds, you're doing it correctly as instructed, and that you keep the soil evenly moist as the seeds start to emerge into seedlings.
Andrew, when I water plants that are just been transplanted, I water them very carefully. I try to not to disturb the leaves and make sure that I don't drown the plants. But I do wet them pretty well, and I try to make sure that the water is not a temperature that would shock the plants. Is that something that you think is important as well? Meaning, really cold water out of a well.
That is exactly right. On our farm back here in Nebraska, you get the water from our well, and it is ice cold, whether it's 90 degrees out or if it's 40 degrees out. So what I do is I let the water sit, and I let it get to an ample temperature, lukewarm, at least 70 degrees. That will lower the chance for a shock to the plant. And yes, like you said, when you do water after you transplant, you want to water it evenly, but you don't want to dump the water on the plant. It's going to shock it more if you do that. Just to take it slow and make sure the soil is nicely, evenly coated with the water, and just make sure you don't disturb too much of the root system. And like you said, don't disturb the leaves too much. And a lot of people, after they water and they sit there and look at their plants, they want to play with them, they want to touch them, they want to make sure they look perfect. Just leave them alone. They'll do their job, and they'll grow to what you're wanting them to grow like.
That's a really good point. And when we come back, let's talk about buckets and tires. Planting your garden in tires. Yep, used tires. We'll be right back. How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor-standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit Guns80.com, Guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
You pick up the receiver. With your heart racing and sweat dripping from your forehead, you finally muster the courage to dial the number to call into your favorite talk radio show. It rings once, twice, and then...
Hello, it's GCN. What's your name and the state you're calling from?
Surprised you got through, you squeak out.
Jason from Minnesota.
Please hold.
As you patiently wait for your turn, you begin to daydream about being a famous talk radio host and what it would be like to have your own show.
Jason from Minnesota, you're up.
Millions of loyal listeners worldwide waiting to call and talk to you.
Caller, are you there?
Cheering crowds surround you, calling out your name.
Jason! Jason!
Going once, twice. Okay, we gotta move on to the next caller.
You blew it.
Huh? Wait, no!
Interact with the hosts you're listening to right now online at gcnlive.com. Click on the community link. Engage with other listeners. Ask questions. Start debates. Don't agree with the host? Let them know. Be a part of the community at gcnlive.com.
Gold isn't for you? Ted Anderson, president of Midas Resources, one of the world's premier gold and precious metal investing firms. I get it. You wouldn't buy gold if you believed that the government is doing a great job, that the Fed will stop handing out trillions of dollars like bailout candy, that Social Security would be there for you. That's not what's happening. You might even pass on gold if the stimulus package wouldn't fuel inflation, or that the dollar wouldn't lose value, or that your retirement would be secure. If all looks rosy to you, then now is not the time to buy gold. For the realists, there have never been more sobering reasons to diversify with gold. Since 2001, the U.S. dollar index has tanked 30% while gold has risen 300%. Right now, savvy investors are adding gold to their portfolios. You should too. Find out what they know. Call us and I'll send you 10 reasons why gold will do very well, free. 800-686-2237. 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
If the IRS has garnished your paycheck or seized money from your bank account, you need to get professional tax help now. Fast action is required to put a halt to these aggressive IRS collection tactics. You can count on the knowledgeable team of tax professionals at Wall & Associates. With over 30 years of experience, Wall & Associates has settled the tax problems of thousands of taxpayers for a small fraction of what they owed. For a free face-to-face consultation, call 1-800-425-4610 to put a wall between you and the IRS. 1-800-425-4610 or look for us on the web at wallandassociates.net. We solve tax problems. If you hire Wall & Associates today, you'll never have to talk to the IRS again. To stop the levies and seizures today, take action now. Call Wall & Associates at 1-800-425-4610. Wall & Associates. 1-800-425-4610. Based on actual cases, results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
We're talking about gardening, and Andrew Hemmer's with us, earthworkshealth.com, earthworkshealth.com. Andrew, 93 million of us in America are not in the labor force, 93 million. About a third of us are not employed. Just one more reason why we need to grow our own food, because jobs are becoming few and far between, and it takes some of us many jobs just to almost survive. Andrew, we have a neighbor who is a fantastic gardener. And what he does is he gets used tires. He's a farmer. And he takes a Sawzall, a reciprocating saw, and he cuts the sidewalls out and he leaves just the tread. So what he has is a container that's open at the bottom, open at the top, and he cuts both sidewalls out, fills it with topsoil, and puts like one tomato plant in it, or one pepper plant. And he's got hundreds of these tires in his fenced-in area. And I got to tell you, these mini raised bed gardens grow like I've never seen before. Have you seen that?
I have seen it, and I do it at home, too. I actually have some stevia in some tires. The one thing I may mention to callers, if you're using used tires, and I'm sure your neighbor knows this, there may be some slits in the sidewalls. One thing you can do is take some black trash bags and line the inside of it to make sure that light does not get exposed to the root system. So that's just a little friendly tip there. But yeah, I will do the same thing that your neighbor is doing. I have done it with a variety of different plants, but this year it's going to be stevia and quinoa.
Let's talk about stevia. How do you grow stevia?
Well, stevia is a plant that grows very well. As long as you don't live in a very, very warm climate, they seem to have a little trouble getting the yield that you want, but you still can grow it in warmer climates like down in Florida and Texas. Ideally, where you are, Vincent, where I am, up in Canada, these are the best places to grow stevia. You grow it right from seed. You want to make sure you get a quality organic stevia seed. And, it's good 1 inch down, and you would, like any other seed, make sure that it's evenly moist in the soil and wait for it to pop up and just leave it alone, and it'll do its job. Stevia is a wondrous sweetener. Compared to honeys and sugars and artificial sweeteners, this is the best sweetener on the planet Earth. So I use stevia in different teas. I use it to sweeten foods and different homemade meals that we make. We do try to stay away from honeys unless it's raw, processed sugars, things like that. And stevia does very well, and it helps our blood sugars and our health.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, now you're a father of 3. Does that, being a father of 3, are your children involved in gardening? Is this a family event for you? I mean, each time you go out there?
It is. When I first started helping my family, that was the idea of it, is getting family together to grow these plants, to pull weeds, to can the produce, to eat it together. So yes, my children and my wife were all involved in gardening. Just tell you a little story. My son is just turning 2, and he was out there with the rake, raking the soil, and he was just having a ball. So, you guys, if you're going to be growing a garden, get your kids involved. It's very, very good bonding time and a good way to teach them how to grow produce so that they can teach their children and other people.
Andrew, we want to make sure that our soil has the right mineral content, so that the plants uptake the minerals that we need for our health. How do we remineralize our soil? Should we think we need to?
Well, that's the thing, is the farmers here in Nebraska and even in Missouri, when we're talking about growing mass crops. We're talking about cornfields and soybean fields and wheat and sorghum. And after a while, the way they space them and the way their practices are, it does take most of the mineral content out of the topsoil. So you're left with soil without silica, soil with low amounts of selenium and other trace minerals and metals. So, for instance, about 50 years ago, you would eat an apple, and you eat an apple today. That apple today contains, a lot less, let's say, iron than what it did 50 years ago. Because 50 years ago, that mineral and all the minerals, trace minerals that we need, were in the soil. So one way I have found out to remineralize the soil is using clays. Things like azomite clay, pyrophyllite clay, bentonite clay, clays like that. What I will do is take, like azomite clay, for instance, and lay about 5 pounds down on 1,000 square feet. And that gets the right mineral balance into my soil, but never has ever affected the pH of the soil. So that's what I have used to remineralize the soil. And there is proof out there that it does work. If you can go out and get it's called a refractometer. And you can take an apple, or let's say a green bean from the grocery store that is GMO, that has been grown, mass produced in a huge field, and you actually look and analyze the mineral content and the nutrient value. You take a green bean that is organic and has been grown in an organic setting with remineralization with that clay. You will find that nutrient levels and mineral levels are much higher. So it's a good way to get the minerals that we need back into our food by using clays in your soil.
Okay, what about, you mentioned iron. What would happen if we took some old American nails, that are bent, that we don't use anymore, just stick them in some water and let them rust away, and then spread that rust evenly on our garden? Would that be a way of getting some iron back in the soil?
Not necessarily, but then again, I don't know. I've actually never heard of that.
Okay.
I would think no,
right.
But then again, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not sure.
I just went to eBay and I looked up refractometer, and you can buy a refractometer, low end, about $20, and you can $14. And it looks like you can spend, even more if you want. And so, is that what you're talking about? This is a device that it's like a handheld device, similar to a handheld microscope. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, that is what we're talking about, and it's a good way to prove nutrient value of what you're growing. Let's say farmers markets here in Nebraska, farmers markets are everywhere. People are growing produce. I have went to farmers markets before and talked with the individuals that are selling the produce and just letting them know, there's really nothing in your produce. I can probably go to the grocery store and get the same thing, but get better nutrient value. So a refractometer is a good way to know if your plants are getting good nutrients and mineral values, so that you know what you're eating.
Andrew, I've got a problem that I've talked about with one of the managers at our local farm operation, our farmers cooperative, and I said, what's the deal with these farmers markets? They sell the same plants that you sell, except 3 and 4 times as much in cost. What's the deal? They sell, produce that they've raised more expensively, and I'm not convinced it's actually better. I don't know why the farmers, when it's from the farm direct to the consumer, why it has to be more expensive than through multiple middlemen coming from the West Coast. Are you? Yeah. So does this frost you the same way it frosts me?
Oh, it definitely frosts me. The fact that individuals will grow out of the garden and then take it to a farmer's market and, let's say, sell a 12-ounce little package for $3, and they say this is better than getting it in a grocery store. One thing you're not getting is a waxy coating over your produce. Another thing you may be getting is not pesticides or herbicides sprayed on it, so that's one good advantage. But still, the mineral value, the nutrient value, it may not be there, so a refractometer would come in to play there. But yeah, there's no reason to sell the produce for so expensive. Another problem or reason that may be is they're just not growing enough. Compared to someone that's growing a 10 by 10 garden and selling that produce out of there to someone that's growing an acre or 5, in my case. It's around 5 acres that I will plant, and a lot of that is donated, and a lot of it is actually sold for a very cheap price at farmers markets. I'm going to sell you a pound of green beans for $1.50, $2. So I would like the grocery store to beat that price.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. The grocery stores generally are so much less expensive than the farmer's market. So if you really want to control what you eat, you're going to have to grow it yourself. And if you want to avoid the pesticides, you're going to have to grow it yourself. And that was another area that I wanted to talk to you about. How do we combat some of these pests? And let me give you an example. So a couple of years ago, we planted a raised bed garden near the woods. We wanted to have an area that wasn't in full sunlight all day. We wanted to have some shade. And because we found the plants were burning. So we planted them near the woods. And out of the woods came these beetles. And these beetles ate the entire all the leaves on all the tomato plants in one day. They came out in an army and ate destroyed the garden in one day and left. Now, is there a way that we can naturally protect the plants from that kind of an invasion? And literally, that's what happened. It wasn't like they just munched on a few leaves and the garden was still okay. No, they literally ate this thing down like a swarm of locusts.
Yeah, and that happens. It's happened to me before. Before I found a product called Crawling Insect Control, Diatomaceous Earth. At earthworkshealth.com, we do sell the product Crawling Insect Control, Diatomaceous Earth. It is completely organic. non-toxic, so you can actually apply this stuff with your hands, and you don't have to worry about, getting poisons on you and getting yourself sick. So this product can be applied directly to the grounds, to the soil itself, to the plant, whether it's underside or topside, to the leaves, even to the bloom, during the flowering cycle, and you're getting, let's say, a cucumber or a zucchini, you can apply right to the fruit itself, and you just wash it off like you normally would wash off your produce before you would eat it. But what happens is, let's say this...
Andrew, hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're going into a break, and you can tell us more about it when we come back. Andrew Hemmer's with us, earthworkshealth.com. How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor-standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit guns80.com, guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
We all know that Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water filtration systems. The Berkey Light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com today.
I'm Vincent Finelli of USAPrepares.com. As most of you know, I broadcast weekday mornings on GCN from 9 to 11. And I'm also a full-time farmer. Add to that mix the weekly meetups and the Get Prepared Expo, and this combination makes for a demanding schedule. On the farm, we raise grass-fed Black Angus cattle and provide them with the best variety of summer and fall grasses available. Our cattle are exposed to the extremes of weather, the toxins in the air, and the electromagnetic radiation that's all around us. So even the best grasses and food that we provide are not enough. Our cattle require minerals and supplements for strong health and resistance to disease. And so do we. For these reasons, my mother, our children, Mrs. Finelli, and I all take Longevity, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, De-Stress, Glucogel, and EFA+. USAPreparesTeam.com. And thank you for being in class today.
Can Heart and Body Extract help with other ailments besides heart conditions, high blood pressure, clogged arteries, or unbalanced cholesterol? It did for Karen.
I've been using Heart and Body Extract for approximately 2 weeks. I've had an earwax buildup problem for many years, with over-the-counter stuff not working at all. I had very poor hearing due to this earwax buildup. Well, after 2 weeks of taking Heart and Body Extract, my earwax buildup almost completely cleared up. Could this be the effect of better body circulation?
Heart and Body Extract is an effective 100% organic nutritional supplement specially formulated to allow your body to heal itself.
My hearing is almost completely back to normal. I'm amazed.
Order by calling 866-295-5305 or online at hbextract.com. That's 866-295-5305 or hbextract.com. Heart and Body Extract for long and healthy life.
Good people need help. The Homeowners Association said we had weeds and fined us $25. We told them they had the wrong house. They said if we didn't pay it, they'd file a lien. Our attorney demanded photographs, witnesses, and told them if they couldn't provide this, they must cease and desist. Issue solved. Worry less and live more with lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com or call 855-340-SAVE. That's 855-340-7283.
Results will vary from case to case.
KDArmor.com is your one-stop shop for the most affordable body armor, period. With packages starting at $169.99 and free shipping on every order. KD offers soft armor and rifle threat rated armor up to level 4. Go to KDArmor.com and get your body armor today while you still can. Mention this ad and receive a free tactical scarf for a limited time with any body armor package. That's CATIarmor.com. Come and take it.
Andrew Hemmer's with us, earthworkshealth.com. Andrew, we have Matthew from Texas. Matthew, welcome.
How you doing?
Hey, go ahead. You're live.
All right. So what day you got prepared for Andrew here? What day is he going to be on every week? Because this is vital stuff. I'm being honest, man.
So, Andrew, how much have you paid Matthew?
I have paid him nothing.
Yeah, no. Matthew. Andrew is faculty at usaprepares.com. You're going to hear a lot from him.
Yeah, I've never heard him before, so I'm just curious. I mean, this guy is. This is where we need to be talking about. I mean, we spend a lot of time on spy tech and all this good stuff, but at the end of the day, you can only do so much about the computers and the way Google's going and AI. But this is something we can actually do. I mean, we should all be doing what he's talking about. So I do have a couple questions for you, Andrew, if you're ready for me.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm a big fan of Vince, and I'm a proprietor of what he talks about. So we got big farms and small farms. I'm right in the middle. I got 10 acres, so I guess I'm a little medium farm. I'm in Texas, and I got a lot of clay. So I've been going through a couple different growing methods. I want to do aquaponics, but it's so expensive. I can't really get the setup going. So I guess right now what I'm stuck with is buckets using, like what you were talking about earlier, and maybe compost tea, like a high-grade compost tea.
Yes, sir.
But what I want to do is I want to have like a quail farm, and I want to grow all their food wild, let them free range.
Okay.
So how do I get there in clay? Like you said, clay was a good mineral, but when I'm trying to plant in it, oh goodness, there's nothing worse.
It's same here in Nebraska. There's areas in central Nebraska, northeast Nebraska that have high amounts of clays already in their soil. The thing of it is if you're working with soils that don't have a lot of clays within it, applying, just the correct amount of clay will help to remineralize. But the problem is if you have soils with too much clays, then you're just working with sludge. That's what it is. Yeah. Now, here in Nebraska, and here in Nebraska, people that have high clay soils they literally move soil. They move fertile topsoils and basically apply that to the soil that they're working with already. So that's what I can suggest to you since you're working with a
basically dump trucks is my only method. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
I mean, because there's no point in tilling it or trying to work through it, like building cover crops and letting them till the soil, stuff like that over years. I mean, is that even worth it?
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely do it. But I think in the long run, economically wise, and yield-wise, it's better to spend the money to get those dump trucks and to get that soil onto the clay soil that you're working with now.
Andrew, I have a question for you. Many of us farmers have ponds, and sometimes, the cows walk to the sides of the ponds and push them in, and they damage the edges of the ponds, and we need to scoop them out with a backhoe. Now, if we were to take some of that soil that's the clay liner of the pond, would that be a nutrient rich clay for our garden? Take a small amount of that and rototill it in. Would that work?
Well, what we're talking about now is playing God. We don't know until we actually take a soil test. So there's many companies around that you can actually take a sample of the soil and they can analyze it to see what nutrient value it has, what mineral value it has, what its low end.
What's the average cost of that? I'm curious.
What was that?
What's the average cost of like a soil nutrient pH type of test? Like if I'm trying to run it by.
Yes, for a detailed analysis, it's usually around $40 or $50.
Wow,
what it is.
I thought it'd be a lot more than that.
Yeah, if somebody's charging a little bit more, find a different company. They all do it the same way. What it is a company will take that soil test, they send it into a lab. They're not, unless they have their own labs there. Most of the time, you're talking with like fertilizer companies and things like that around here in Nebraska.
Yes, sir.
But what they do is they send it into a lab. They all send it in pretty much the same lab, or just a few of them. So if somebody's trying to charge you $100, $200, don't go for that. Find somebody
Andrew,
that's going to be able to.
Andrew, we're out of time. Matthew, thanks so much for being with us. Andrew, we're out of time. We're going to do it again and again.
Friends, this is Alex Jones for MidasResources.com. For more than 15 years, I have exclusively used Midas Resources for all my precious metal needs. Whether it's bullion or collectibles you're looking for, Midas Resources is simply the best. I own my gold as a hedge against inflation. This Federal Reserve fiat currency could go the way of the Deutschmark and the Weimar Republic anytime. In these historically dangerous times, it makes sense to physically hold gold and silver. Midas already has some of the best deals in the industry. But if you give them a call and mention the radio special, they will give you a list of the day's super specials. Midas brokers are standing by to answer all your questions at 800-686-2237. They also have a lot of informative free literature explaining the opportunities and risk of holding precious metals. They are ready to answer your questions at 800-686-2237. Again, that's 800-686-2237.
Did you know that drinking pure, high-alkaline water is one of the most important factors in maintaining high energy and vibrant health? Most experts agree that the water you drink should be at a pH level of 8 or higher. AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops, available only at alkavision.com, combine a unique formula of only the most alkaline minerals. AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops alkalize your water, ridding the body of harmful toxins, and helps you regain health and energy. Alkalizing your water by simply adding 10 drops of AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops helps the body rid itself of acidic waste, increases oxygen content, and raises the pH of your body to healthy levels. And bacteria and viruses cannot survive in an alkaline high pH environment. Order your bottle of AlkaVision Plasma pH Drops for only $29.95 at alkavision.com. That's ALKAvision.com. Or call 269-409-1776. 269-409-1776. Alkalize your body. Supercharge your health at alkavision.com today.
The Genesis Communications Network is one of America's premier broadcasters of captivating talk radio. We thank you for listening. Now, just imagine, there are thousands of people who are just as passionate about radio as you are. But what you may not realize is how easy and affordable it is to advertise with us. Radio commercials for your business could be heard on hundreds of radio stations across the U.S. every day. We can help you by creating an effective radio advertising campaign for your company. From script writing to producing your commercial, just like the one you're listening to right now. No other network provides the level of customer service we do. When it comes to radio advertising, we are your one-stop shop. And no matter how big or small your business is, we can help. Email us at advertise@gcnlive.com, and an experienced advertising executive will help you take the first step towards driving more customers to your business or website. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Watch the greenbacks tumble.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. You know, I'm delighted to be spending this time with Katie Singer, and we're going to be talking about electromagnetic radiation and the dangers. And Katie, let me just read something that I wrote. And this is a review of your book called An Electronic Silent Spring: Facing the Dangers and Creating Safe Limits by Katie Singer. Here's what I wrote, and this is available for viewing on Amazon. The first 7 minutes of this book will teach you why your last cell phone call was your last cell phone call. You will immediately think of those hours upon hours of what seemed as important calls at the time were actually unnecessary. The exposure to electromagnetic frequencies is clearly killing us. And we volunteered ourselves to be part of the death camp. Katie Singer is an on-air instructor at USA Prepares, and she is ringing the alarm loud and clear. Please consider reading this book and then share it with each member of your family. It is truly a book that can save your life. Vincent Finelli. That's what I wrote, Katie, and I really meant it. I'm glad you're with us today.
Hi, Vincent. I know you meant it because you've told me big news.
Well, you know, I don't know if it's big news, but right after the broadcast that you and I did, I contacted Verizon, and I no longer am using a cell phone. I am no longer using the iPhone. And, you know, we ought to talk about why, but, you know, aside from the health dangers to everyone around these cell phones, you know, they're tracking us. And it's so nice. It's so nice here at the farm that it's not dinging. That cell phone isn't dinging saying, you know, you have a message, you have another message, you have another message. It's nonstop messages that some people think are really, really important for me to read.
So are you enjoying your form? Like what's different in your day?
You mean since I don't have the cell phone?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Number one, I don't carry a cell phone, and I didn't carry a cell phone most of the time. So if I went to a meetup, I would have a cell phone with me in the vehicle, and I'd have a cell phone in my briefcase, if you will, but I didn't carry it on my person. So when that thing went ding, like you have a message, I would have to stop what I was doing, go to my briefcase, open it up, get the cell phone out, type in the password, and then read the message. And it was like never ending. Like so many people felt that whatever they had to say was really, really important, that I knew about it. And I'm talking about family. I'm talking about friends. I'm talking about listeners. Now, some of it was, you know, I don't want to say not important. Some of it was important, but none of it was information that would save my life or someone else's life. Yeah. None of it. Okay.
Okay. Wait. Can I come in here for a second?
Sure.
I just want to clarify. So what we're saying is that there are dangers to using mobile devices. You said, number one, there are security concerns because what we know, NSA can check in on what you're saying, including if your phone is turned off, by the way.
Right.
They can turn it on. And number two, there are health problems caused by your having a cell phone beside your head or in a pants pocket. Lots of women keep them in their bras. That's a danger. A third danger is that in order for the phones to be used, they require cell towers. And who wants to be near a cell tower? Whether you're living near it, whether you're working or going to school near it, nobody wants to be near a cell tower. And I have things to report about that, as well as just keeping the phone beside your head. We're getting increasing studies showing that brain tumors are increasing because of cell phone use, because people are holding them beside their heads. And then people will tell me, well, I've got it on speakerphone. And that might improve your, take away some of your risk a little bit, but it's still requiring a cell tower. And that affects everybody who's within, I don't know, let's say a mile of that tower. One of the things that I was going to read, I report in the book about worker safety. And a lot of electricians, for example, when they have to go to a rooftop to do some electrical wiring work or whatever, there can be cell towers, cellular antennas disguised in chimneys or in what look like air conditioning units on those roofs. And there will be no warning posted that they're in extreme close proximity to massive amounts of radiation. And there's, I've got a quote from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. Their president, Edwin D. Hill, has stated that he believes that many of our members have been exposed to levels of radio frequency radiation in excess of the FCC's limits. This is because of cell tower exposure. When there is a hazard, Mr. Hill further states, the hazard creator has a duty to warn others against this hazard. But telecom corporations do not post any warnings. And then it gets even more interesting because AM Best Company, that's, a major underwriter that advises insurance companies whether or not to insure against damages for various things, including wireless technologies. And here's something that AM Best Company wrote. It warns other insurers that in close range, cellular antennas act, and this is a quote, essentially as open microwave ovens, and that exposed workers' health effects, here's another quote, can include eye damage, sterility, and cognitive impairments. They're talking about workers' exposure to cellular antennas. And we, unfortunately, the public and the workers are not informed that just by making one of those phone calls, you could be damaging workers in your neighborhood. And some of these antennas, of course, are on rooftops at schools or on farms, all that stuff. We need more information here.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. We are now disguising cell phone towers as, works of art in California, Arizona. Why? Because people don't want the cell tower. So what we do is we build these works of art, like mini Washington monuments, that kind of thing.
Can I actually come in here and say,
sure,
in our Federal Telecommunications Act, it's our federal law about telecommunications, it states in Section 704 that no health or environmental concern may interfere with the placement of a cell tower. The only reason that a municipality can deny a permit if a telecom corporation wants to install a cell tower, the only reason is because your town does not like the look of that tower. That's why they're being disguised as art. If it looks like a tower and that interferes with your landscape, you can say, we don't like it, we deny the permit. But if it looks like, I don't know, a palm tree and you are in California, it's not, then that wouldn't be interfering with your landscape. That would not be grounds for denying the permit. That is our federal law.
When I lived in Virginia, we had a neighbor who had another property, a couple properties away from where he lived. And he allowed a cell tower to be built on this other property. Let's say the property was maybe a half a mile, quarter of a mile to a half a mile from his home. It was about a half a mile away from our home, maybe a quarter of a mile away. And so they put up this tower. And I went to the county administrator, and I said, what the heck's going on? He said, well, your neighbor owns that property. And I said, I don't want it. I don't want that tower. I don't want that thing blasting my farm 24 hours a day with microwave radiation. This was back in the 90s. He said, well, you got a tractor, right? I said, sure. He said, well, just hook up your tractor to it and pull it down. This is the county administrator telling me, Finelli, you don't like the tower, just pull it down. Well, I can't be destroying other people's property or other corporations' property. However, we may get to that point. We may get to the point where farmers say, no, that's it. But farmers throughout the United States need to realize that these things are not worth the $900 per month rent that they get from these telecommunications giants that are destroying lives, literally destroying lives. So, Katie, the review that I wrote of your book said that your last cell phone call was your last cell phone call. Well, it was my last cell phone call. I no longer have a cell phone, and as I said, and the another benefit of not having a cell phone is I don't have to worry about that darn camera being turned on without my knowledge, spying on me in my home, spying on me in my car, spying on me 24 hours a day. So I don't have the health. Yeah, well, we're going into a break. We'll be coming back from that break in just a couple minutes of commercial announcements, and please address that. Katie Singer. We'll be right back. How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit Guns80.com, Guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
Hi, John Hubner from Midas Resources. Are you tired of watching your hard-earned assets dwindle away? As government spending is out of hand and the Federal Reserve is creating in excess of $20 billion, are you tired of stockbrokers gambling away your hard-earned money? Is this market a setup for a crash greater than 1987? Too many of today's policies resemble those that led to the collapse of 1929.
This is John Hubner, and that was me in 2007. And we all know what happened when the subprime credit bubble burst. By March 2009, the dollar lost 50% of its value. The entire U.S. banking system was on the verge of collapsing. Like all financial problems of the past, is history about to repeat itself? Call me, John Hubner, at 1-800-686-2237, extension 129, before it's too late to protect yourself. Will the oncoming catastrophe take all private IRAs, 401ks with it? There is a way to protect your hard-earned assets. Call me, John Hubner, at 1-800-686-2237, extension 129.
I'm Vincent Finelli of USAPrepares.com. As most of you know, I broadcast weekday mornings on GCN from 9 to 11. And I'm also a full-time farmer. Add to that mix the weekly meetups and the Get Prepared Expo, and this combination makes for a demanding schedule. On the farm, we raise grass-fed Black Angus cattle and provide them with the best variety of summer and fall grasses available. Our cattle are exposed to the extremes of weather, the toxins in the air, and the electromagnetic radiation that's all around us. So even the best grasses and food that we provide are not enough. Our cattle require minerals and supplements for strong health and resistance to disease. And so do we. For these reasons, my mother, our children, Mrs. Finelli, and I all take Longevity, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, De-Stress, Glucogel, and EFA Plus. USAPreparesTeam.com. And thank you for being in class today.
For over 5 years, you've been hearing about the Berkey guy, so you may know a few things about him. For example, you are well aware of the superior quality and effectiveness of Berkey water filters and accessories. But did you know the Berkeys have had independent lab tests done to prove just how effective they are? It's true, and he can email you the test results. Just visit GoBerkey.com. You may also know that the Berkey guy has helped tens of thousands of people get better prepared. Now here's something you may not know. GoBerkey.com has amazing specials and deals all the time on a wide variety of survival and preparedness products, most ready to ship same day. Visit The Berkey Guy at GoBerkey.com and be sure to click the red Products on Sale Now button. You can always call toll-free 877-886-3653. Again, that's 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com, home of The Berkey Guy.
Katie, you were commenting as we were going into a break?
Yeah, you said that you read the first chapter of my book, An Electronic Silent Spring, and it moved you to say, okay, my last phone call was my last phone call. And
yes.
I thought it would be worthwhile to tell listeners what I report in that first chapter.
Okay, please do.
There's this wonderful woman, Virginia Farver, whose son, Rich, became a graduate student in political science at San Diego State University in the fall of 2005, almost 10 years ago. And he hung out most of his time in this one room in the political science building. It's called Nassatir Hall. And he was a teaching assistant, and he basically lived in this room. Almost as soon as he got to San Diego, he started calling Virginia, his mother, and he had these panic attacks. And he's like, Mom, just stay on the phone with me. Just stay on the phone. And, of course, she did stay on the phone. He'd never had panic attacks before. And eventually, he quieted down, and he fell in love with San Diego, fell in love with the campus, and he got a master's degree in political science. And then he stayed near the campus, of course, and he was thinking of going to law school, but he started having memory problems, and I don't know, and he would take long naps every afternoon. I mean, things that Virginia knew something was wrong, but she didn't know what to do about it. And then one day in March of 2008, he called and he said, Mom, I've got the worst headache of my life. He was actually whispering this to her. And she said, and also he was projectile vomiting all over the apartment. And she, of course, said, get to the hospital immediately. And he did. He'd had a seizure because he had glioblastoma multiforme, a kind of brain cancer. And when Virginia and her husband, Craig, and their son, Rich, were sitting in the surgeon's office hearing this news, Virginia said, what causes this? She managed that question. And the surgeon said, using a cell phone. And there they were. This family was, each of them had, the men had their cell phones parked on their belts, and Ginger's was in her purse. And they got rid of that. That was their wake-up call for getting rid of their wireless devices. And their son, Rich Farver, died 7 months after his seizure in the fall of 2008. And after their son died and Virginia managed to get off the couch, she began to do research. And she found that I think we've got almost 10 other people in the political science department or near the political science department at San Diego State who have died, most of them of some kind of brain tumor like Rich Farver did. And then she also realized that there's a massive cell tower right beside the political science building. And she started asking what happens if you're using a phone more than 30 minutes a day, which she knows her son was doing, and you're living or working, which her son was doing, right near a cell tower. And she's been asking this question for a long time. Pretty much every time I talk with her, she has tracked more people at the San Diego State campus who have died of some kind of cancer or including from brain cancer. Two of her son's childhood friends now have glioblastoma multiforme brain tumors. she's an amazing woman, and that's the chapter that you read, and it's just startling. She's put it all together for us.
I talked about your book at the meetup, and I said that if you read the first 7 minutes of this book, you will not have a cell phone. And that's what happened to me. Now, I'm really concerned about electromagnetic radiation. And you know what? I don't need a cell phone. I really don't. And I'm free at last. I really am free at last from that nonstop tone telling me I've got another text message, and from the phone ringing from all ends of the house. Kitty Singer and I will be right back, and Ginger is on the line. We'll be getting to your call in just a minute. Worms and raise crickets for food. Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit guns80.com, guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
Heart and Body Extract continues to receive positive testimonials from people who have experienced amazing results, like Reed.
I just wanted to send you a quick but a very big thank you for Heart and Body Extract. I've been on the formula for nearly a month now, and the improvement in the circulation of my legs has been simply amazing.
Reed was facing a tough choice.
I was facing surgery due to the severity of the 100% blocked arteries in both my legs. And my decision, waiting for surgery, to say no and try Heart and Body Extract instead, has been thankfully the right decision.
And the result?
I can now walk up steps without noticeable pain.
Order Heart and Body Extract at 866-295-5305, 866-295-5305, or hbextract.com. Heart and Body Extract for a long and healthy life.
Have you ever felt like the United States government knows way too much about your financial affairs? I continue to hear stories about property seizures, frozen bank accounts, confiscation of stocks and bonds. It makes me wonder if the U.S. citizen will ever again have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Unfortunately, with the Drug and Money Laundering Act, the IRS Revenue Ruling 6045 of 1984, and the Trading with the Enemy Act and Franklin D. Roosevelt's Executive Order of 1933, some precious metal holdings are subject to government intervention. For this reason, Midas Resources has prepared a report explaining the boundaries of trading precious metals privately. Whether if you have any intention of trading with Midas Resources or not, I have instructed my representatives to give this report out free. Call for your free copy at 1-800-686-2237. When investing, always proceed with caution. Again, call 1-800-686-2237. Exercise your legal right to trade metals privately. 1-800-686-2237.
Hi, this is Steve Sanchez, and based on a recent study, it was found that 57 million Americans had legal issues over the last 12 months, but only 60% of those studied sought out the services of a lawyer. Why? In a nutshell, affordability. Well, my friends at Legal Shield have created a solution that can help you not if, but when you need an attorney. For as little as $17 per month, Legal Shield will provide you unlimited access to qualified attorneys at an accomplished law firm for advice and counsel on legal issues, no matter how serious or trivial. For over 40 years and with 1.4 million families across North America, Legal Shield can help you, the loyal GCN listener. Representatives are standing by now to answer your questions, so call them now at 1-855-340-SAVE. That's 1-855-340-7283, or visit them at lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com.
Results will vary from case to case.
If the IRS has garnished your paycheck or seized money from your bank account, you need to get professional tax help now. Fast action is required to put a halt to these aggressive IRS collection tactics. You can count on the knowledgeable team of tax professionals at Wall & Associates. With over 30 years of experience, Wall & Associates has settled the tax problems of thousands of taxpayers for a small fraction of what they owed. For a free face-to-face consultation, call 1-800-425-4610 to put a wall between you and the IRS. 1-800-425-4610 or look for us on the web at wallandassociates.net. We solve tax problems. If you hire Wall & Associates today, you'll never have to talk to the IRS again. To stop the levies and seizures today, take action now. Call Wall & Associates at 1-800-425-4610. Wall & Associates. 1-800-425-4610. Based on actual cases, results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services.
Class, very serious broadcast this hour. Katie Singer's with us. An electronic silent spraying, facing the dangers and creating safe limits. We have Ginger. Ginger's on the line with us. Ginger's called in.
Hello.
And hi, Ginger. You are Rich Farver's mother.
Yeah. And first off, hello, Mr. Finelli, and hi, Katie.
Hi, Virginia.
I hope I can get through this without crying, but from the very depths of my grief and sorrow, thank you so much for getting rid of your cell phone.
You know, I read that chapter and about your son, and I've been ringing the alarm as well about cell phones, and you know, I have the same problems that others have, and it's, you know, well, what about an emergency? And you know, I hear that from the family, and I hear that from friends, and you know, there's a herd mentality that one person has one, then two, then five, then everybody has one. And, you know, what about free communication, cell phone to cell phone? If you're Verizon to Verizon, you know, you can talk for free to other Verizon customers, and boy, isn't that great? And you know what? It's not great. It's not worth it. The risk is way, way, way too great. And your family paid the ultimate price. Ginger, I'm so glad you're with us today, and I know that this is going to be very difficult for you, for Katie, and for me, and for our class. So we've never talked before. This is the first time we're meeting on the air. I didn't know you were going to be joining with us. I'm very grateful that you are. And what we're going to do is we're going to save some lives starting right now.
Right.
So please share with us your thoughts.
Well, you know, first off, life is about choices. And if more people would take a stand and follow your lead, we could not only have a safer world for ourselves and for our loved ones, but we could also have a much safer environment. And yes, it's a very horrible, horrible disease. And it's, you know, it's beyond what I can even tell people. When you lose a child, it's the worst feeling in the world.
I think I also need to emphasize that, yes, the Farver family lost their son, Richard, but it's extraordinary what Virginia's research shows, that there were all these other people in the political science department who have also died from brain tumors at early ages, and then that two of her son's childhood friends would also have the same kind of rare brain tumor. I mean, what's going on here? This is not just one man using a cell phone a couple hours a day for several years. And Ginger, I think you tracked his records, and he was using the phone about 2 hours a day for, would you say, 7 or 8 years before he died?
Yes, I actually had a law firm look into it, and he was using his cell phone approximately 2 to 3 hours per day. And in 2008, that's basically when texting was happening. So a lot of it was texting, but of course, a lot of it was him using his cell phone to his head.
And then, of course, let's clarify. So if you're texting, then you're not putting it beside your head, and so a lot of people think that's safer. But it is still exposing yourself at some level to radiation that has not been tested, and then it's still requiring those blasted blasting cell towers.
Right. And just to let everybody know that's listening, I did research on this cell tower that was outside of this school at San Diego State University. And in 2002, this one cell tower could emit signals up to 72 miles in all directions. So that's how powerful just one of these cell towers can be.
And it was in the building beside the political science building where Rich hung out so much.
Yeah, it was probably about 150 to 200 feet from NASA Hall to the communications building, and then it was on top of the communications building.
Ginger, you told me you had a personal question for Mr. Finelli.
Yes. I would like to know how long you've had your cell phone.
We've had Mrs. Finelli and I have shared one cell phone, and we're probably the odd couple because we had one cell phone for two people, and I would say we've had it for maybe 3 years or so, possibly 4. However, none of us carried the cell phone. We would keep it away from us whenever possible. So, for example, if Mrs. Finelli had it, it would be in her pocketbook. If I had it, it would be, hopefully in a briefcase, a nylon briefcase that I would carry, but not in my pocket whenever possible. Now, during the expo, it was in my pocket, and I said that I wanted to get rid of it right after the expo. I made that announcement, and I've been wanting to get rid of this cell phone for years, for all of the reasons that we're discussing right here. I knew of this. I knew of the dangers. And, it's as you said, it's a microwave oven without a box, and they keep adding more and more transmitting and receiving antennas that are just increasing the amount of electromagnetic radiation.
To be clear, one smartphone can have 2 antennas for cellular transmissions, one for Bluetooth and one for internet. That's 4 antennas if you put it beside your ear, which is really close to your brain.
Right. So to answer your question, 3 or 4 years, but very, very, very rarely was it on my person. And what we did is we've tested our cell phone to see if it would pick up, the microphone would pick up in our kitchen. If we put it in a kitchen drawer, like a cutlery drawer, put the cell phone in there, close the drawer, and then call the cell phone, and then see if that cell phone, and then have the cell phone answer, close the drawer, and see if it could pick up voices in the room with clarity. And the answer is absolutely it could. So we did that test, but we kept the cell phone. We have a powder room off the kitchen, and there's a vanity there, and we have towels in the drawers, and we'd wrap the cell phone in the towels, put the cell phone wrapped in towels in the drawer, close the drawer, and just so it would be away from us. It was a nuisance. It was an absolute nuisance. Some people might think it's a convenience. I thought it was an absolute nuisance. So we don't have it. We don't want it. We're not using it anymore. And are we going to travel without the comfort of knowing that, boy, we could call somebody and they could come to our rescue? Yeah, we are. We're going to do that. And as you were describing these cell phones, I was thinking, okay, so someone on a bus, like a school bus, your children on a school bus, that semi-Faraday cage that they're riding in, there's got to be 20 cell phones in that school bus. There's got to be 20 cell phones on a subway car. And if you're commuting to work with some of your coworkers, there's between 1 and 5 cell phones in your car. So you're surrounded. Even if you don't have one, you're still in the presence of cell phone communications, like at restaurants, in meetings.
Vincent, let me say something I've been writing about a lot lately. 8 to 10% of the American population has a medical implant, like an insulin pump, a cardiac pacemaker, a deep brain stimulator for Parkinson's. And being around too many people with a cell phone can cause the implant to malfunction. It can actually shut off the implant because there's electronic interference between the signals from the phone and the electronics in the medical implant.
I believe that our government and the cell phone industry are working in concert to hide this information from us. So here's my call to all of our class. So since the cell phone industry and our government say that cell tower radiation is safe, let's install these cell towers in the boardrooms of cell companies, all cell companies, the White House, the Capitol, all mayors and governors' offices, all FCC offices, all Homeland Security offices, all FBI, CIA, and NSA offices. All government offices will have cell towers inside the buildings. Let's do that. And let's see how long it takes for those cell towers to be torn down. What we're talking about is microwave radiation. Ginger, we have one of our engineers who is a radio frequency engineer out of California. He's a senior instructor here at USA Prepares. He went on top of the mountaintop just over Silicon Valley, California, San Jose, Cupertino, Los Gatos, and this was back in the 80s, and he measured that there was a lot of microwave radiation around 8 o'clock in the morning, noon, and like 5 or 6 o'clock at night. There were peaks in electromagnetic radiation levels. 10 years later, he measured it again, and there were no peaks. It was like the level of electromagnetic radiation from microwaves had increased, so it was all the time. And the conclusion he drew was, in the morning, people would cook their breakfast in their microwave oven, so there'd be a peak of radiation in the morning. Then there'd be a peak for lunch, and then there'd be a peak for dinner. Then, with the deployment of the cell towers, the microwave point-to-point communications, that kind of thing, and the cell phones, there was so much electromagnetic radiation in the microwave band that there were no more peaks. It was 24 hours a day. So people in Silicon Valley are being blasted, and it's not just Silicon Valley; it's everywhere. Which is one of the main reasons why I live on a farm in the middle of nowhere. Now, I have a solution for getting rid of these cell phone towers, but if I say it, I'll be arrested.
So, okay, you know what I would like to do, Vincent? This is Katie Singer talking. I would like to tell class solutions that they can start applying today. I worship you that you have quit your cell phone and that you have announced this to every listener who's listening. There are other slightly less drastic solutions.
Ginger, you're welcome to stay with us. We're going to have some solutions. By the way, Katie Singer will be with us on the Bunker Files from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock today, Central. 3 to 4 Central. So if you'd like some more of Katie Singer, 3 to 4 Central today on the Bunker Files. We'll be right back. By now, you know that USAPrepares.com is your source for water filtration systems. Here at the farm, we use our water filtration system for drinking, cooking, and for our cats and dogs. Which brand are we using? Well, that would be the ProPure system, because it filters out pathogens, microbes, chlorine, and fluoride. Multiple sources indicate that fluoride is responsible for lowering our IQs by 5%. Now, how many of you would like to sign up for a lower IQ? USAPrepares.com offers ProPure water filtration systems and accessories at the same price as everyone else, except we offer an instant rebate. We buy them by the pallet loads and pass the savings on to you. And if you're outside of Missouri, there's no sales tax. And if this appeals to you, visit USAPrepares.com. That's USAPrepares.com. You can order online, and we have the ProPure water filtration systems in stock, ready to ship. USAPrepares.com. ProPure water filtration systems at the same price as everyone else, except we offer an instant rebate.
On the average, Americans work between 45 to 50 years, hoping to build up enough wealth to retire and live out their golden years. Unfortunately, with taxation, the rising cost of food, energy, housing, and medical, many retirees are forced to live below the poverty line. Is this a flaw of free enterprise, or is our monetary unit we call the Federal Reserve Note forcing us into perpetual debt, ensuring inflation and higher taxes? These questions and more can be answered by reading G. Edward Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Congressman Ron Paul states it's what every American needs to know about central bank power. A gripping adventure into the secret world of international banking cartel. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I will give a silver dollar from the early 1900s to anyone who purchases this book. Call 1-800-686-2237 and order a copy today. It's critical that the public be made aware of the system. Call and order your copy today at 1-800-686-2237. That's 1-800-686-2237.
You pick up the receiver. With your heart racing and sweat dripping from your forehead, you finally muster the courage to dial the number to call into your favorite talk radio show. It rings once, twice, and then...
Hello, it's GCN. What's your name and the state you're calling from?
Surprised you got through, you squeak out.
Jason from Minnesota.
Please hold.
As you patiently wait for your turn, you begin to daydream about being a famous talk radio host and what it would be like to have your own show.
Jason from Minnesota, you're up.
Millions of loyal listeners worldwide waiting to call and talk to you.
Caller, are you there?
Cheering crowds surround you, calling out your name.
Jason! Going once, twice. Okay, we gotta move on to the next caller.
You blew it.
Huh? Wait, no!
Interact with the hosts you're listening to right now, online at GCNlive.com. Click on the community link. Engage with other listeners. Ask questions. Start debates. Don't agree with a host? Let them know. Be a part of the community at GCNlive.com.
We live in a complicated society. Stressful issues are always popping up. Have you ever been treated unfairly by someone? Have you ever been overcharged for a repair? Have you ever signed a contract or a document? Worried about identity theft? How many times have you been in those unique situations where you just wanted to call an attorney to find out if you're right or wrong, or what your legal rights are? But every time you think about calling an attorney, what do you think about first? That's right. Who do you call? And how much will it cost? Our friends at Legal Shield have found a solution. With a nationwide network of 6,900 attorneys who average 19 years of experience, Legal Shield's law firms take over 40,000 calls per week helping their members. For less than $20 per month, you can have access to Legal Shield on everything from the trivial to the traumatic. Let Legal Shield stand up for your rights at lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com. Or call 855-340-SAVE, 855-340-7283.
Results will vary from case to case.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
So I have a good friend by the name of Sam Bushman, and Sam Bushman is a broadcaster. He's the owner of Liberty News Radio, and he carries USA Prepares on his network Monday through Friday. And I was on the phone with him yesterday, and he has two expressions that I find amusing. One is, "No, man," and the other one is, "For reals?" And so I said, Sam, I'm going to save you some time. There's no need to call me on the cell phone anymore, because I don't have one. He's like, "No, man. For reals?" And I said, "Yes, for real. I do not have a cell phone." He said, "No, man, you need one." And I said, "No, I don't need one. And I'm free. It's great." By the way, Sam, really, I'm serious. So he was kind of surprised, and we talked about it, and I actually think he's semi-agreeing with me. So my question for Ginger is withdrawal. Ginger, I had about, maybe a day of just the slightest bit of withdrawal. I don't have any withdrawal anymore. I mean, it was really a question of, did I do the right thing? And the only reason I say this is because our intro to the broadcast says text at 434-390-7953. Well, it doesn't work anymore. So I have to fix that. And that's the withdrawal I had. How about you, Ginger?
There is a form of withdrawal if you get rid of a cell phone, if you're constantly using it and stuff. I went through about a 3-month withdrawal. You know, you just having that right there to call somebody instantly. But just to let everybody know, you can live without them. I haven't had one since 2008. And with all the tracking and hacking and everything else, I'm so glad I don't. But I want everybody to know, too, I've actually traveled by myself without a cell phone, and I do just fine. So, you know, there's other forms of finding people if you have an emergency.
Yeah. Katie Singer?
I got a list of solutions for people. And one thing I haven't shared yet with the class is what to do when your preteen or teenager insists that they cannot survive without a phone. And I understand that they're saying that. I don't think it's advisable to argue with that because the peer pressure is so intense. But I've heard from other parents, if they can tell help their children notice that the corporations are wanting them to buy, say, the latest and greatest iPhone this year. And how much is that? Like $500 or $600, you know, plus subscription fees. Okay, so that's how much money they want from you this year. And then they're going to want some wearable device, like a watch. How much does that cost? That's what they're going to want from you next. And then what are they going to want from you next? And you just keep noticing where the corporations want you to spend money that you're going to have to keep spending so that you can keep as a subscriber. And then they're just going to be collecting and collecting and collecting from you, and just keep asking those questions. What are they going to want from you next? And also, what happens when people start using phones? Like, is there a kind of person before they have a phone, and then if they take on a phone, does their personality change? Or, you know, do they stop making eye contact? Those kinds of things. I think those are great things to notice with our children. That's one solution. Okay, then also just to run down, cut your Wi-Fi at night for at least 12 hours while you're sleeping. Do not let yourself or anyone have a cordless landline phone that's, you know, that'll have a base station in the house. It's kind of like your own private cell tower in the house. You especially do not want electronics near your head while you are trying to sleep. There's the break again.
Not only is that the break, it's worse than that. It's the end of the broadcast.
Well,
Ginger, I'd like to invite you to come back with us and talk more about your experiences with cell phone radiation. Katie Singer, same invitation. And Katie Singer, you and I will be together on the Bunker Files this afternoon from 3 to 4. This was a very serious broadcast. And when you think about one of these watches that communicates, so think about getting cancer of the wrist. It's easy to fix, right? Just cut it off. The wrist. Katie, thanks so much. Ginger, thanks so much. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next?
From satisfied customers of Heart and Body Extract continue to pour into our website, hbextract.com.
This is Al from New Jersey. One day I saw your ad for Heart and Body Extract, and it mentioned that it would help me with angina. So I decided to order. I figure I had nothing to lose.
Heart and Body Extract supplies your body with everything it needs to balance itself and maintain optimal heart and circulatory health with no negative side effects.
I took the formula 3 times a day as directed, and I kid you not, within 4 days my angina pain was completely gone.
Order HB Extract by calling 866-295-5305 or online at hbextract.com. That's 866-295-5305 or hbextract.com.
I could not believe it actually stopped the pain. Heart and Body Extract actually works. This is just an amazing product. Even the numbness in my hands is completely gone.
Heart and Body Extract for a long and healthy life.
We all know that Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water filtration systems. The Berkey Light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at goberkey.com. That's goberkey.com.